This is definitely the engraving I saw on the surveillance cameras. He must have had a good reason for monitoring this spot. I need something to get down there. It's too hard. I'll never make it. It's useless. I can't move it. This tomb hasn't been opened since the death of the person inside. An ossuary. The cemetery must have been built on an old Celtic burial ground. I can't grab a strip of cloth. I'll have to cut it. I need a light to go on. Oh, great. I need something else to light my way. Otherwise, I won't be able to explore this tomb gallery. A vault. I'm sure that Vanbury monitored the inside of this room from his office. It looks like something's missing. This is definitely the room I saw on the surveillance cameras. A bust of Vlad Tepes. I get the creepy feeling that someone's watching me. There's something sick about this manor. I already have enough of this. If I'm not mistaken, this brick wall is part of the manor. I'm locked in. Adam will never come look for me here. I'll have to sort things out myself. I don't feel good. This is not a good time to faint. I've got to take some medicine. That's not a good idea. Garlic, a crossbow, and silver arrows. Real anti-vampire gear. Vanbury's passion for the Dracula story was more intense than I would have ever imagined. Dissertations upon the apparitions of angels, demons, and ghosts. He was really obsessed. How could a professor like Vanbury believe that such beings existed? I'll need more than a small pickaxe to break into this wall. It looks like the opening really does lead to the inside of the manor, but it's too narrow for me to slip through it. Adam, is that you?
Ellen? What on earth is going on here? I heard an explosion!
I had to blast the wall of your bedroom to get out of a vault that Vanbury installed under the cemetery. I really thought I was never going to get out of there.
Get your breath back first, then tell me about it in the library. We'll be more comfortable there. What you've just told me is unbelievable. You're really something, Ellen. I was working for Vanbury for months, but I didn't have the faintest idea that there was this secret room and this vault. To tell you the truth, I would have never imagined that he was so passionate about Dracula. And I don't know why he would be so obsessed about him.
The missing portrait, the 16th painting, it's a clue related to his paranoia. He recorded a tape where he talks about an evil relic that he had to keep secret, as if it were a burden to him.
You don't think that it was a portrait of Dracula, do you?
Vanbury was afraid that the man in the portrait would come for the painting. Seeing that he has crossbows and silver stakes stored under the cemetery, it really gets you thinking. I found an old wax cylinder in the vault. Maybe it's connected to the painting.
There's a phonograph downstairs. You should be able to listen to it. Meanwhile, I'll take a look at the vault.
You knew Vanbury well. Judging by his behavior, do you think he had a sound mind?
Up until now, yes. But after hearing everything you've just said, I think that I actually didn't know him well at all.
This is the first time I've ever heard of this painter. Are you familiar with his paintings?
No. I found out about him at the same time as you, when I saw his name on the professor's list.
I'll have to call my boss. Maybe he's come up with something on this painter. Do you think that the professor's death is connected to the story behind this portrait?
Are you suggesting that someone capsized his ship in order to get a hold of the portrait without arousing suspicion?
I know that's not very likely.
I think that the other paintings that sank were a lot more valuable.
You're right, but why does Vanbury sound so frightened in his recording? A cytale. It's a system that deciphers messages written on strips of paper. Cytales have been used since ancient times. Yanek Tev Kif Han S. Okak 734 110 Fatih, Istanbul. Yanik Tevkifan Sokak 7 34 110 Fatih, Istanbul. It looks like an address in Istanbul. This Yanik might be Frieden's accomplice.
Metropolitan Director's Office, hello?
Hello, it's Ellen Cross.
Ellen, so, what's the update?
I haven't gotten a hold of the portrait, but I have made some disturbing discoveries. Vanbury was totally paranoid. He installed a vault underneath the cemetery adjacent to the manor. Inside, I found a real Vlad Tepes museum.
Living in the town of the Dracula novel ended up getting to him. Poor guy. And I found information on the painter Kanayek. He was a 16th century Istanbul artist. I haven't found any mention of his works. However, my assistant tells me that through the centuries the name Kanayek became Yanek.
Yanek? I can't believe it. Friedland, the Budapest prisoner, had an encoded message in his belongings. I managed to decipher it. It's the address of someone named Yannick in Istanbul.
Ellen, have you ever been to Turkey?
No.
Well, here's your opportunity. Go and pay a visit to this man. If he's a descendant of the painter Kanayek, he might be able to give you information on the portrait. Also, try to get more information on his connection with Friedland, but be careful.
Very well. This cylinder is damaged.
November 1870. I have just come back to Budapest, exhausted, and no longer have the strength to write. I shall therefore dictate this journal to stamp in my memory the tragic events I experienced in Vladoviste. My struggle with Dracula concluded in a stalemate. The Count will certainly not come after me in Budapest, but I had to flee far from his land. If I were to return, I'd be immediately arrested as an accomplice to murder. In his Transylvanian stronghold, Dracula is untouchable. His will is law, and no one disobeys him. He does occasionally change his hunting ground, for he is hungry for new prey. That is the reason he bought a house in Budapest. Fate caused him to choose as his notary my friend Leon Hartner. Then to desire his wife and take flight with her. With Jon, we set out in pursuit of the accursed couple. I quickly understood that the Count was drawing Luciana onto the path of the dragon. By an engagement present, he wanted to offer her eternity. We followed the lovers from city to city, but unfortunately, we were always one step behind. And when, at last, our long chase led us to Vladoviste, we didn't even have time to enter the Count's castle before the horror struck us. We were staying at the inn. My room communicated with Jon's. In the night, I heard Luciana's voice calling out to her husband. My friend, neither ignoring or rather refusing to accept what his wife had become, invited her up to join him. His imprudence might be fatal. Luciana would have bled her husband dry if I hadn't intervened. I battered down the door between our rooms and pierced the vampire's heart. I urged Jon to leave the inn immediately, but he remained prostrate and refused to follow me. As I had feared, my friend was arrested and indicted for the murder of his wife. I learned he died in his cell. The papers spoke of suicide, but I discerned in his death the work of the Count, whose influence extends into the prisons. Prudence obliged me to return to Budapest as quickly as possible. I forced myself, nonetheless, to visit Luciana's grave and deal with her corpse according to the ritual. I didn't want to leave without the absolute certainty that she'd lie in eternal peace. As for her master and lover, Count Dracula, I admit that I shrunk back from him. Others will come, I hope, to resume the combat. It is for them that I preciously conserve my archives on the path of the dragon. For me, the fight is over.
I can't believe it. The note on the side of the cylinder says that the professor's grandfather made the recording. I'm starting to understand why he was so obsessed with Dracula. He was brought up in a vampire-fearing environment, and he grew up with the enormous burden of having to keep a portrait of the vampire secret. The more I discover, the more surreal this whole story becomes. But I would be immensely disappointed to leave the investigation before actually seeing the painting. Does the Path of the Dragon remind you of anything?
Yes, it does. But where did you hear about it?
I heard it on the wax cylinder. It looks like the professor's grandfather recorded it.
The Path of the Dragon is just a legend about an initiation journey. Aspiring vampires had to follow this ritual in order to meet Dracula, the dragon. Different people have different theories about how humans become vampires. Some people say you just have to be bitten. Others say that you have to drink vampire blood.
And what do you think?
I don't think anything of it. Vampires are just a figment of the imagination.
Sometimes legends last because they're grounded in some way in reality.
The myth may have started with illnesses such as porphyria. The symptoms are similar: a pale complexion, bloodshot eyes, receding gum lines, and sun intolerance. During plague epidemics, it is also said that people were in such a hurry to bury bodies that they forgot to check if they were really dead. And when the poor guys buried alive managed to extricate themselves from their tombs, the terrified population thought they were ghosts. And then they stuck stakes into their hearts, killing them once and for all.
I've already heard these stories, but I find this recording really disturbing, and the professor really sounded terrified.
I'm surprised, Ellen. You shouldn't be taking Vanberry's flights of fancy so seriously.
You're right. I spend too much time reading. This incredible missing painting tale must be getting to me. I think that I finally have a lead on the painter of the portrait. With the sightale in your bedroom, I was able to decipher the message that the suspect Friedland had on him when he was arrested. It's the address of someone named Yannick in Istanbul. My boss thinks that he might be a descendant of the painter Kanayik. I'm not sure if that'll take us anywhere, but it's a start. I'm leaving for Istanbul.
Budapest, Whitby, and now Turkey. And to think that I thought that working for museums was really boring. From the time I've known you, I've had nothing but surprises.
I would have preferred to visit Istanbul under different circumstances. The man I have to meet there might have been in contact with the thief who died in Budapest.
It's a disturbing coincidence. Kaniak's descendant could thus be an accomplice in the Vanberry collection robbery.
That's possible. And if it turns out to be true, I'll have to be careful.
I would have liked to be your escort, but I have to stay here until the professor's inheritance is settled. But I would be really happy if you could keep me posted on this affair.
I will.
Take care of yourself, Ellen.
You too, Adam.